I just finished watching yesterday's video. Yesterday was number 6, so number 7 now. And I was thinking about that thingy thing I said about the sacrifice, about giving up things for the sake of getting hold of something else, and how the second guessing and doubt and insecurity is all kind of a part of that. Now, hear me out for a moment, okay? I'm not trying to spiritualize or religionify things. So just thinking about things completely from a practical, personal point of view. Say, taking the example of grant applications, which I struggle with so much and I've talked about so much. I've been selected to get this grant, but something in my proposal that is not key to the bigger picture is rejected, and the people say, hey, you gotta get rid of this little thingy thing. Can't wear an orange t-shirt in your performance on, well, whatever it is. You gotta get rid of this little thingy thing if you actually want the money or the residency or whatever. And you're like, no, but this orange t-shirt, now after this first performance, it has become so important to me, I can't let go of it. But then you sit down and you think and you analyze and you're like, getting this whatever grant or residency would be a really big deal, it would be a really valuable opportunity, but this orange t-shirt, how do I let go of it? Will the bigger picture actually be able to hold together if I let go of this one little element? And then you think, it's so important to me, I've been through so much with this orange t-shirt or whatever it is, with your cat or with your potato that finally sprouted after 6 months of trying. If it takes you 6 months to sprout a potato, then you need some help. But anyway, in normal conditions. Okay, in Malaysia, if you're in Malaysia and it takes you 6 months to sprout a potato, you need some help, because even if you don't do anything to it, it should sprout by itself in, a couple of weeks at most. Anyway, but maybe letting go of this orange t-shirt and is actually a good thing and letting go of this potato is actually a good thing, because get rid of the mold and the whatever, and it's not like you're ever actually going to plant it and make it into many potatoes. It's just one kind of old greenish potato that you can't eat anyway. And so what I'm trying to say is that maybe ideally, in an ideal situation, this process of hanging on to a relationship, working relationship, personal relationship with an idea or a practice or a movement or something you've been working on for a long time, a project, maybe holding on to these things and the sacrifices that we pay to hold on to these things in an ideal situation would be sacrifices that are not a giving up of something that is key to who we are as a person, but they're trimming down so that you become more the person that you want to be in the first place. It's just that sometimes in the actual act of doing things, it's hard to see that this is actually going to be good for you. It's a bit like, again, I'm going to try to quote something and I might be very, very wrong. I think it's Rodney Scott. If you're going to watch Netflix, and if you're going to watch Chef's Table on Netflix, the barbecue series, Chef's Table barbecue, don't watch on an empty stomach. Don't watch before going to sleep, because very hard. There's one episode about Rodney Scott, and he talks about how he grew up barbecuing and stuff, and his family had their place and they made barbecue. But his dad always wanted to do it a certain way, and the way Rodney Scott described it. Again, I really hope I'm not mixing up my stories and putting the wrong story with the wrong person. The way Rodney Scott described it was that his dad had a closed hand because he was holding on so tightly to the things that had been built up over the years, for the things that in good ways had provided for his family and provided for him and raised his kids. But Rodney wanted to do different things, and doing different things required him to open his hand to change. But his dad didn't want to, and that caused a lot of strife and conflict. But in an ideal situation, then this of things that are actually me are not just a process of trimming away things that it's not just the process of trimming away things so that I become more the person that I want to be. It also becomes a process of opening my hand so that things that can enrich my life can come in. Maybe like, mixing my metaphors, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe like, pruning a tree and grafting things into a tree. So you want to like graft in a branch, right? So you gotta make a cut and then you stick in the branch from the other plant and then you wrap it in nicely. But first, to be able to stick it in, to graft in the branch or vine from the other plant, you have to open your hand and then you can put the plant in and then you become I am Groot. I don't know what I'm saying. You get what I mean, I think. Yeah, so ideally this building a relationship is, and the sacrifices that it entails, is not a process of making life worse for you or making you less yourself, but a process of cutting away things that aren't core, that aren't key, and that helps you become more you. And what all this has to do with the second guessing of myself is, I think, the thing that partially, the thing that, I don't know what I'm saying, what this has to do with the second guessing of myself is that, as I said earlier, in the moment where you are, you don't have perspective necessarily, and it's hard to gain perspective because that takes time, it takes space, it takes mental and emotional energy, and sometimes when you need to make a decision, you don't have those things. So the moral of the story is that you should start writing your grant applications early and don't submit them at the deadline. I don't know, maybe actually that's probably good advice for myself. And there are a couple of grant applications that are due kind of soon, which I've already started working on, so maybe it's not too bad. But I'm gonna get Mouse Armageddon by the time they're done. There are at least 2 that I need to write in the coming month or so. Yeah, so in the moment, in the time when the decision actually needs to be made, it's hard to have perspective because you are there. You don't have distance from the emotion of what's going on. You don't have distance from the decision itself. It's just, come on man, we need to make a decision. And even if you trust the other people who are trying to help you to make that decision, if it's something that you've been holding on to for a long time, like an idea that's important, an idea that's valuable, an idea that you've invested time and energy and money and blood and sweat and maybe tears and pain and suffering and I don't know, I was gonna say disillusionment or illusion, but I wasn't really sure. Anyway, if you've invested all those things into the thing, it's hard to do this or to do this, to whatever this forearm represents, whether it's an idea or a relationship or an aspect of yourself, like a lucky cat. If you have to get rid of these things, it's hard in the moment. And then the second guessing comes in because on top of the should I do it, should I not, should I do it, should I not, the second guessing comes in because you're also thinking, even if I do this, will it actually work? Will actually make a difference? Will get me the grant or the girl or the friend or the flair or the backflip or whatever it may be. The new TV, the new camera, the new handphone, I don't know, obviously I have a lot of these things on my mind. The opportunity to live overseas, see the northern lights, eat kebab in Berlin with Gemüse and pork knuckle, and will the sacrifice actually work out in the end? So there are layers, there's a process to this second guessing. First, should I do it or should I not? And then even if you decide that yes, I should do it, then the second layer of the second guessing is, should I do it? I mean, will it work? Will it actually make a difference? So then you kind of go back to, should I do it or should I not, if you don't think that it'll make a difference. But even if you do think it'll make a difference, you still have to pry your cold, dead fingers open and off of this idea that you've been holding on to for so long, that you develop rigor mortis or tendonitis or mouse arm, and then learn how to hold on to whatever else it is that you would like to pick up. So when does this second guessing stop? When you just write the application and send it off. One of my friends, a very critical friend that I talked about in the first episode, I think. Now it's becoming a TV series. Watch, we are on Ramble. Yeah, anyway, the friend that I talked about in the first episode it doesn't matter what she does. Anyway, she says that she just sends off grant applications now because she's done so many that she just doesn't care anymore. Maybe there's another way. I don't know what it is.